dawn of salvation. Darkness reigns no more, for light is greater. Light is greater. Angels, let your song begin. Here comes heaven. Christ is born in Bethlehem. Here comes heaven. Angels, let your song begin. Here comes heaven. All creation born again. Here comes heaven. Here comes
heaven. Okay, stand up, please. Greet the person next to you and say, good morning, my name is so-and-so. It's the Unity community. What do you got to do here? What are you going to do now?
Talking about cell phones.
Okay.
The microphone's falling out here. Okay.
Hey.
Well, this is an opportunity just to double check that your phone is silenced, but you don't have to turn it off. You can just silence it. And we do actually have an open Wi-Fi network here. Who noticed that? Raise your hands. All right, a few of you noticed that. We have that open so that you can actually share this service right now. Share the feed to your Facebook page, to your Twitter account, on YouTube. You can get involved in this service. You can take pictures and you can update stuff and do stuff like that. You can text a friend and let them know where you are right now, or put a post on your social media outlet and say, here, I'm at Unity of Boulder, check it out. So we're trying to join the digital age because there are hundreds of thousands of people sitting at home right now that aren't in this room that should have access to this message. Do you agree?
Yes.
Would you be willing to pull your phone out right now and actually do what I said? I did not say turn it off. I said silence it. Leave it on so that you can do that. Someone tell me why you're not willing to do that. You don't know how. Okay. Now I know we need to teach you a class on basic social media. All right.
All right.
Which we did at Unity of Las Vegas, and boy, was it frustrating. Okay. What else do we have?
We have, is there anybody here from another Unity church? Anywhere? Raise your hand high if you are. Okay, we're not going to give away the brand new Cadillac today. Oh, you're from another, what Unity are you from?
He's new.
Oh, you're new. You're here
time.
for the first time. Okay. Well, you're welcome here. Keep your hand up. We have a gift for you. Can you please give this gentleman the keys to the new Lexus out in the parking lot? Okay. All right.
Anyone else here for the first time that's comfortable and willing to raise their hand and be outed in front of just a couple hundred people? All right.
Okay.
Those are my people.
All right. This guy walks into the bar. He's got a frog. And we didn't say thanks to our
Spanish speakers and our Spanish ministry,
speakers,
yes, for joining us. Even though this isn't their native language, they're here and they're joining us to be a part of this experience and hearing the translation. Thanks to Rosa, who's up in the booth up there. She's waving. Everyone turn around and look at Rosa.
Rosa is doing translation.
Hi, Rosa. Thank you very much. She does this live. Can you imagine doing that? As random as the things we say, she has to instantly translate it.
Right.
We can't even translate what we're saying in our
No,
own
we
language.
can't. And I don't know very much Spanish either.
No, I've noticed.
You noticed?
On our trips to Mexico.
No, I do.
Blaringly
I know
apparent.
more Spanish than you.
Anyway, so what were we doing?
Okay, what we're gonna do is say thank our live stream people.
That's right.
Tuning in. They can do the same thing. Contact a friend. Let them know what you're doing right now.
Absolutely.
Joining in the Unity of Boulder. Beautiful service.
All right.
Okay,
You
now
had a
what story
joke
to
that you're
tell?
about to flop?
Watch
and
out,
I'll
don't kill
walk off
yourself.
stage.
Guy walks into a bar with a frog on his head. The bartender says, "Hey, where'd you get that?" The frog says, "Well, it actually started off as a little lump on my butt."
Those guys are awesome. They're so funny together. It's like a comedy team, Groverland and Groverland. All right. All right, let's do some Christmas caroling singing. So we're going to sing Winter Wonderland. So if you guys want to sing along with us. And you can dance too if you want. All right, let's go.
Are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is a bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man," but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman until the little kitties knock him down. Later on, ain't it thrilling? Though your nose is a chillin', we'll frolic and play the Colorado way, walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland.
Okay, who wants to do that last part again? Because those slides are messed
What happened?
up. Okay, let's go back to
This
the.
is not
in the
karaoke.
meadow, build a snowman. I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we go back to that up there?
Hey,
Upstairs?
let's chill it out a little bit too, shall we? Just chill it out, just a little. Here we go. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman
Until the other kitties knock him down.
until the other kitties knock him down.
When it snows.
When it snows, ain't it thrilling? Though your nose is a chillin', we'll frolic and play the Colorado way, walking in a winter wonderland.
Big finish.
Walking in a winter wonderland. Okay. Walking in a winter wonderland.
That was a little better.
You sound awesome.
Today, my talk title is Curiosity is the First Step Down the Path of Awakening. And I wrote this sermon from a place of the week that I had, and it was not an easy week. Ministry at Christmas time is a full-time day and night process. You are interacting with people a lot. And this week I have interacted with some very unhappy people that can't seem to get along with each other. And I've been a mediator in some conversations and situations to the point where I've been starting to feel like I'm drowning, like I can't have any more negative interactions in my life. And so I feel a little bit like Julia Roberts, that it's time for me to go to Italy and eat, go to an ashram and pray, and go to Thailand and bring my husband. That would be the big love, right? But obviously, many of us have that kind of a feeling at this time of year. And not only just this time of year, but actually out in the world right now, there's a lot of stress in the consciousness of society at this time. And I feel like some of the stuff that I'm seeing coming out of people right now is a reflection of what they're seeing out there, and they're bringing it into their worlds, and they're creating conflict with people that are their friends and seeing them as enemies. Right, so that's the kind of situations I've been involved in, and it's been predominantly women actually not getting along, which for me really is a difficult thing, because for me I have support groups, I have book groups, I am all about getting sisterhood, to have a deep love for each other where we support each other, that we are here to help each other grow and move forward, and if there's anything, we are the shelter unto each other, instead of doing what the world has taught women to do, which is to be in competition with one another or think we have to find safety from one another. And so I guess it just brought up inside of me, what am I looking at here, and what is my part in this? Right? We always have to do that, because there is nothing that happens around us that somehow isn't also about us and some inner reflection around some things. And I realized that, life is a challenge. It is a dance between self-centeredness and a cooperative self that is aware of and seeking the creative forces, the good forces, and a love for all. Right, this is a time of selfishness. If you look into the world, and yet we're all doing, hopefully, our meditation every day to, really have a step forward where we're connected with this divine energy, this creative force that is constantly supporting us. And yet, I see how we could get distracted, and I do see how we could become of the world, and believing that this is how we can interact with each other. But if we want to have a flawless, peaceful, spiritual, connected life, clearly we have to go within when we're dealing with difficult people. And I'm really focusing on difficult people today because it's Christmas time. And we see a lot more of our family members. We see a lot more homeless people on the corners. We see a lot more people facing the losses that they've had in their lives. People tend to be just on that edge. Whatever is kind of, percolating in them that's not healed or whole kind of comes to the surface at this time of year. Even though we think of this time as this magical time for children, really. Primarily, it is children that really enjoy that happy part. Us parents are running around trying to rush to get the gifts and make sure that they're even and that we don't buy one kid more than the other. And, we've got that competition going on at home. But this is a really, really good time to really look at our relationships and what we are bringing to them. That is a really important thing. So sometimes something will occur in our lives when the soul is ready to wake up. That's where Julia Roberts was in the Eat, Pray, Love movie. She had pretty much exhausted all of the things that she thought she wanted in her life and had pretty much all of it in her life, and found herself empty. She had no drive. She had no sense of connection. She had no sense of happiness in all the things that she had desired, created, and built. It was all done by her, of course, with God through her. And then woke up one day and has no purpose. Who's been there? Who has experienced that? And sometimes it's not all of those situations. It could be one or two that make us feel like we don't have any passion or purpose, or the thing that gives us the zeal to want to get up and go and get life going. So when we hit these points, it's usually something like a relationship issue, friends falling away, a near-death experience, a loss of a parent, child, a loss of identity with a job, a divorce. Then there comes the signs of feeling that your life is empty, devoid of real meaning and purpose. It is as though you are lost in the woods and you keep trying to find a trail back to your car, but you're just wandering and starting to panic. You feel as though something is lost or missing in your life, like there is this giant hole that you keep walking around. You don't know what it means, except that you have to find something to make your life meaningful. You start questioning everything you have been taught. Either you have felt abandoned by God, or you feel that God has abandoned you. There is a sense of injustice. You feel like a blind person groping about in the darkness. Loved ones may be trying to help you, and you just want everyone to leave you alone. In fact, it seems to be a necessity. If you are to figure this out, you must be alone. That is part of it, to get into that stillness, that the quiet speaks. And I had to get into the quiet because being the mediator in several situations, it's not just one, and some of you might know some of them, but we have had situations where this homeless situation in Boulder has become really, really bad. And we've had to let people stay here during that really bad storm. And we were dealing with a lot of people staying here. And none of those people could get along. Can you imagine? A church reaches out and gives you spaces to stay in this building, and all they did was quarrel with each other and create nothing but havoc. And it was just constant counseling and constantly putting fires out and I can't tell you how burnt I felt by that and discouraged in humanity. That this isn't even really legal for us to do that. We actually don't have the licensing to house someone here. And yet we put ourselves on a limb because it was so cold outside that there was no way we could turn people away. At the busiest season of this center. And I have so much to do, and I have counseling, and I have emergency counseling up here, but all I'm doing is being downstairs negotiating to try to get people to get along. And that's not the only thing that happened in the last few weeks. But it's about my awakening, too. We are all always awakening, right? And so, to not lose faith in humanity, but to build greater discernment as a minister in my work is what this was about for me. Me saying yes way too much when there's literally not the staffing to handle something. And not only did I affect my own life, but I affected my entire staff. They were burdened by the situation in such a crazy way that we are so behind right now. I have no words. The amount of behind we all are because of the lost days and weeks. And when we're going into this major production that we put on for Christmas Eve, and I'm not bitching at you, I'm just telling you, I do not lie up here, and I never have. I lost a sense of balance. My work is to inspire people and to remind them of this Christ light in them. And the one-on-one is really more about emergencies. I really can't be negotiating people that have found themselves at that very last point where you are homeless. Like, there is another place that actually takes care of that, not churches. We're here to be there, and they can come to church, but to house them, it's not. So it reminded me of a friend who I've been meeting with for about 15 years, and he was sharing his awakening process with me. And how the universe comes in and does actually help you in these situations. If you'll only let spirit in to help you, but when we're in that fight or flight and we're in that sense of, I got to handle this before this thing gets out of control and we're imploding here, and it was my decision, so I'm feeling extremely responsible. I was cut off from God and how I was handling it because I was putting out a fire. But Larry started to share with me, he's a 70-year-old man who was a very intelligent, very smart person in high school, had an incredible relationship in high school, and was a really upstanding fella who did get drafted to Vietnam at one point, and he left his girlfriend behind. And he went and he witnessed the horrors of Vietnam. He was in the worst situations and witnessed the darkest of the darkest. And it completely and totally damaged him. His brain was never the same again. And he had what they call shell shock. We call it now PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And he ended up, when he got back, got married to a woman that only knew the broken version of himself. Think of how many people that's probably happened to, right? And then had children, and his whole life was that family reflecting to him his brokenness and to stay in that brokenness because that's what they were used to. So there wasn't a whole lot of room to heal because how they visualized him was not him, because they never knew the original powerful being before a trauma, okay? So when he was around 55, he ended up being very successful, even though he had the PTSD, he was actually very smart and he still could like work in computers and stuff like that. But he was a horse guy. He owned horses and he worked with different animals and things like that. And at one point he was asked if he would take on this horse that has extreme trauma. And this horse would not eat, it would not drink, it would not interact with people, it was dangerous, it was shy, it was all of these things. And he felt this extreme calling to take on this horse and make this his focus. He was just recently retired and had the time to be around this horse. And he started the journey of just being in a huge field with this horse, where he would just sit on the fence and see if it would ever just start walking towards him. And we're talking acres. And it would be on the furthest corner where he's here, and he did days and weeks of just sitting on that fence for that horse to start interacting with him. But then he started to find that something started to shift with him sitting there observing this horse. That he hadn't been quiet with himself like this, away from the opinions of others, away from the stress of life, and just sitting observing, and started to recognize the stillness in his being. As he started to discover the stillness in his being, this horse started to walk a couple steps towards him each day, and that would be a triumph to him. He would go home and go, my God. He turned and he looked at me, and he walked just a few steps. It was years of doing this kind of thing with this horse, till eventually this horse, by the time it got to him, at 100% healed this man. These are the angels. These are the avenues that Spirit comes to help us. He thought he was going there to heal this horse. But God put that horse out there to heal him. And unto each other, these two are like soulmates. This is a relationship like you can't imagine. But then on the other side, where you look at like the whys and hows things go, as he awakened through these years of working with this horse, his wife liked him less and less. His children liked him less and less. And he's feeling more fully alive and fully revealed and fully feeling like his old self times 1,000. And they're denying his absolute unfoldment into awakening. Unfortunately, this happens to people. Unfortunately, people on this path, if you're surrounded with people that are of the world, cannot join you in the awakening because they're going to resent you because they don't speak that language. So now he's fully realized being completely and totally kind of emotionally abused by his family. Why would that happen? If this God that we talk about is honorable, why would that happen? Does anybody have any ideas why that would happen? Because I don't know. Their energy levels are different. It's an opportunity for them to grow. The truth is, this is where the mystery lies. This life is a mystery. The whole fun of this journey is to actually look for it. So just asking good questions is stimulating as all get out. Why would this person that's lived in jail emotionally finally is enlivened and then is abandoned? Could it be that possibly this person is supposed to become saint-like in this world? That the challenge isn't over with just the horse. That there's even more depth to be desired. In the past years, we've had this man come to our angel camp, and the horse is an animal whisperer. And so the children were taught by him how to hold a space to call that animal without words, to be without that animal, and to get it to do things with their mind. He literally showed the children that they have an energetic field that's beyond this physical experience, that could have a horse hear them from here and not here. That's where curiosity lives. When we get curious enough, we will start seeking it in the most tremendous ways. In the book Agartha, it says this: moving forward, following the path of the star is each person's inalienable right. Call it divine destiny. While there is choice as to the specifics that will fill each life, there is no choice as to whether one will or will not ultimately progress. All energy moves forward toward perfection and completion, and therefore life, as it is known to each, moves forward. Allowing the opportunity for mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual experiences to shatter personal illusion by seeing the reality of the total being. Allowing the opportunity for mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual experiences to shatter personal illusion by seeing the reality of the total being. It is, after all, not each soul's choice to begin this process of personal evolution, but God's. Each elemental energy is like a sponge placed in a puddle of ink, consciously and superconsciously absorbing all things. Yet where is the conscious memory of the motion that placed each in the puddle in the beginning? It often appears as only a vague sense of connectedness, slipping in and out of the cloud cover of physical life, pulling each in spite of himself toward the inevitable union with God. So we really have to start asking those curious questions. Why? You know, we ask why. That's like her in this movie. She's saying, all of this has happened. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to go to these 3 different countries and see if I can go find myself. Well, many of us are not in a financial position to go spend a year abroad. Or we have children at home, but we'd still like to find ourselves in the midst of life. But I kind of like the idea that it was these 3 different countries. It's like the Trinity. It's the mind, body, and spirit. She was finding all of it. It was the mind and the body and the spirit that she wanted to connect with. She thought something outside of her would give her that. And it most certainly would. I mean, people do go seek enlightenment in India, and they do actually find it. But the real test is seeking it in the very midst of us. Jesus said we would. That heaven is in the midst of us. I was talking to Daniel Rivard, a really good friend of mine, who we chat about sermons when I have no material, which I called him this week, and I said, I have no material, I need to talk to you. And he said this great quote to me. He said, how do you navigate the journey inside you? Daniel Rivard. How do we navigate the journey inside of us? Right? So I had to look at all this trial and tribulation that's happening outside in the midst of my spiritual home too. And I just started to wonder, did the easy days of running this center leave me? Because it really has been harder in the last few years than it used to be. Everything seems to be a lot more work, a lot more organization, a lot more technical machinery and stuff to prepare the services than it used to be. But my curiosity to wonder why this is all happening started to stem some ideas for me. Curiosity is the first step down the path of awakening. The first step down the path of awakening. What does that mean? Ever since I was a little kid, I've always looked for the mystical things in life. I was raised to look for the mystical and the miraculous things. So I'll ask you this question. I asked my staff this question this week. Can you recall a mystical and miraculous thing that has happened in your life that you absolutely cannot prove why it happened? It's not of the physical, but something ethereal happened in your experience. How many people have had that experience? And do you find yourself visiting that experience to recall the feeling that that had and the impact it had on you? To witness something beyond this physical? Because things do speed up into harshness and hardness and things like that, to a point where it's like a tornado, so that eventually we go, oh, I have to go inside. I can't find the peace out here. I can't find how to get these people to get along with each other. I can't find how to settle the fear in people. I can only find that in me. But I am a person that loves to watch ghost shows. It's a guilty pleasure for me. I absolutely love them. My husband cannot stand them. But it's just, I love to watch things where the supernatural's caught on camera. For me, that's just totally cool stuff, right? I love Long Island Medium. I love all these people that are making all this money psychically downloading stuff for people. But the thing is I'm not looking at them like, oh, they have a gift. Oh, you have a gift that I don't have. I like to look upon these things to discover all the things that are in me. Right? Think about that. You're watching people performing in some incredible gifts, and yet it's promised that it's in all of us. So as we look upon, we are, right? We know that. That's a proven thing. What we look upon, we are. So we see that there's these gifts in other people. That's in me. Look how cool we are, right? So I want to share a video. This is really from left field. My daughter sent me this video of a friend of ours who took this last summer in Allen's Park. And it's just something that she caught on camera. I'm going to give you 2 chances to watch this thing, just for fun, so we can spark some fun, because there's actually a person I know that caught this on film. And get it dark in here, really dark. Okay, now, this friend of ours had lost her father in the last year. She was by herself camping in Allen's Park, which for me I think is just killer, of a woman just camping by herself. She's my age. And then she saw this and still stayed there that night. Because I would have been outsies, man. Like I like the show from my living room, you know what I mean? I don't want to be in the show. Let's watch it one more time. When it comes down here, you'll see it start to form like a person on the left side of the van. It almost looks like a suit right there. And she said she stayed because she so completely felt her father, so completely felt visited by her father that she had no issue with sleeping. She felt like her father was camping with her. To start to search for the mystical, the things that are not tangible with this, but is with this. This part of us that never dies, what is that? How does that show up in our life? If that could show up in a physical situation on a camera, how can that also support us in life, right? If we have a father or a mother that was so amazing, and we're needing guidance in our life, we can direct access for wisdom and inspiration. The second we believe this is real, because it is real. If you want to start researching the spiritual ether, the constantness of life that is not this, you will start to look through a lens that only is looking for miracles, that's expecting miracles, that will actually hire the angels to precede you and do things for you so that everything just shows up perfectly. Trusting that something is supporting you from the other side too. It's all God. Because we are all God, and we still are all God when we pass away. We are one. This is the season of Christ's birth. This is the season for the birth of Christ in us. Thank you.
Grab the stones. We're not going to take an offering yet. We have a special opportunity to take part in a prayer stole ceremony for our prayer team. For those that have fulfilled the requirements to join the prayer partners on our Unity prayer team, we're going to be blessing them with a prayer stole so they become more recognizable to you as people that you can pray with after the service, and that you recognize these are the people praying over the names that go into the prayer box that are prayed over for 30 days here before they go back to Unity Village and prayed over for additional 30 days at Silent Unity. So Jack, if you'd come up and get ready for this. These are special people. They do a ton of prayer work. They are enlightened beings as far as I'm considered, even though they probably don't consider themselves that way necessarily. But I do want to share a reading from Myrtle Fillmore, who's a co-founder of our movement, what she had to say about prayer. She said, "Prayer, as Jesus Christ understood and used it, is communion with God, the communion of the child with his or her father, the splendid, confidential talks of the son or daughter with the father. This communion is an attitude of mind and heart. It lifts the individual into a wonderful sense of oneness with God, who is spirit, the source of every good and perfect thing, and the substance that supplies all the child's needs, whether they are spiritual, social, mental, physical, or financial. Positive declaration of the truth of one's unity with God sets up a new current of thought power, which delivers one from old beliefs and their depression. And when the soul is lifted up and becomes positive, the body and the affairs are readily healed." This is the work that these special people do on a daily basis, and it's a powerful process that they're a part of. And we really honor that you've done the work to achieve this status, to be a part of this team. So I want to invite up Steve Sheets, if he's around still. Okay, perfect. So I'll start with the bottom. How about Aaron Baker?
Thank you for your work, your soul, spirit, and the beautiful energy that you bring to Unity of Boulder. And know this, the Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Josh, go stand over there.
Oh, he wants to stand up here?
See the whole team. Steve, why don't you come on over?
Thank you for doing the beautiful work that you do, taking the time. I know you guys, you actually get together in spirit at 9 o'clock every night, also to pray, not just the times you meet in the prayer room to pray. So you're going with your heart straight out to help others through prayer. And I want you to know it's appreciated here. Your energy and your love and your devotion is what makes Unity very special here in Boulder. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Brianna Gray. Much of our prayer team also serves as ushers and greeters, so you'll see them carrying many hats and stoles now.
Brianna, thank you for devoting yourself to the prayer work here in Unity of Boulder. Because what you're doing that people don't see is that you are bringing forth that truth we represent, that we're all connected in that divine way, in spirit and truth. And through prayer, we're actually reaching to the universe to bring about its miraculous healing power. And because you've given yourself to that, it is extremely appreciated by all of us here who share in that truth and share in the beautiful energy and love that your prayer group is bringing to Unity. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Jay Spurl.
Jay, you are so in touch with what is really valuable. And I have watched over the years, I have seen you sharing your love and doing your prayer work. And it's so moving to know that you people go out of your way to help others through prayer. And you give yourself so devotedly to this particular organization, Unity of Boulder. You make it happen, what we seek to have happen all over this world. That we recognize each other as brothers and sisters in the presence of God. And because of this, I want to thank you especially. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Sandy Spahn.
Hey, Sandy, you are such a beautiful being. You came here to devote yourself to the work of the living God and the presence of God. And you prove that by all of the service that you do. And in the secret places, which is where we do serve God. Never looking for any recognition, just looking to be part of God's incredible, miraculous power. To bring more healing and harmony and more love into the lives of others. And by so doing, we bring that healing, harmony, and love into our own lives. And what you have been doing is bringing healing, harmony, and love into Unity of Boulder. And it is so appreciated. We can never thank you enough. We just say, Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Gail Wagner.
How many, many, many years you have given yourself to the Spirit, serving beautifully, silently, to help others and to pray for others and bring into their lives that healing that they are seeking. And you've done this through your own trials and tribulations, through your suffering and your pain. You have looked beyond it, stepped beyond it, lived beyond it. May the devotion and love that you have given to so many come into your life forever. You are a blessing to Unity of Boulder. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you, and together we work for the glory of God.
Let's hear it for your prayer partners.
Hey.
So part of the reason we did this is we want them to become more visible to you and recognizable. So when you see these stoles on these individuals, you can approach them for prayer in your time of need or whatever might be happening in your life. There'll be a more visible presence as a part of this service. We're going to be inviting them up to stand as we pray. And they are, if you didn't know it or not, holding the space as we sit here and we do this to keep the high watch and the energy in this space. And we also did a ceremony for Lori Park, who received her stole post-mortem at her memorial, who now we have her picture down in the prayer room with her stole down there if you'd like to visit that at any point in time. Thank you all for everything you do. You're a huge blessing to this church and this movement,
bless you all.
this center. And we will take an offering for Unity now. So I'd like to remind you that when we take an offering, this isn't an opportunity just to support this organization. This is actually a spiritual practice we use in Unity to break through our own limitation, our own limited consciousness, our own fear-based way of living, and learning to open up to this universal flow of abundance in our lives to get ourselves out of the way of this flow and allow it to happen in and through us. That is why we do this practice. This is a spiritual step. This helps us grow. So I invite you to, we can bring up on the screen the various ways that you can give. Besides physical, we have a texting way to give. We have the Easy Tithe app. We have recurring donations you can sign up for, and the dip jar is also on the lobby on your way out if you want to do it through a credit card. So I invite you to take your offering into your hands, whether it is digital, physical, financial, whatever it is in this moment, and pool that energy into your hands. Focus your consciousness there, and bless this offering by joining me in saying it with our offering statement. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give. Thank you.
So we're going to sing this song in honor of our prayer team today. Ready to receive.